mess out here. People have been venturing out, anxious to see what this storm has brought on to the people of Sweetwater, but police, the mayor, other city officials are encouraging folks, saying, look, the storm may be gone, but the trouble it brought certainly is not. With this much water, life is anything but sweet for the people of Sweetwater. On this bright and sunny day after, the struggle to return to normal is evident everywhere. And it is a struggle for drivers. How'd you get into this mess?
I was just driving home from work and, well, my car started floating away and it started drifting all over the street and I had to pull over. And then my car flooded and had to get out.
So a lot deeper than you thought it was.
Yeah, basically.
A struggle, too, for many, many homeowners. Come on in here. I want to bring inside here for just a second and give you an example of what I mean by struggle. These folks had barricaded their front door against the rainwater, but as you're about to see, that did them very little good. Sweetwater police gave the Pancorvo family sandbags yesterday, but they weren't enough to stop any of this. Every room, every stitch of furniture soaked, a lifetime of treasured mementos nearly ruined.
It's worse than 1992, Andrew.
You started to tell me you were here for Andrew.
That's correct, but this is not comparing, you know, with all the water coming in. We didn't expect this.
There are countless homes in the same shape or worse. Joined by Sweetwater's mayor and other leaders, County Mayor Alex Pinellas surveyed the ravaged neighborhoods. Relief money will come down the line, says the mayor, but first and foremost, another concern.
Right now, our main priority is to deal with the safety of the health concern. We can't have all the standing water throughout neighborhoods. It's a health concern. That's going to be our first priority.
Two principal concerns with all the standing water, of course, especially when we're talking about nighttime. Any live wires that may be in these areas are virtually undetectable. Also, possible contaminants in the waters, which is why residents in neighborhoods like this one are being encouraged to take steps to purify their water supply, and we'll explain how to do that later on in this newscast. Also coming up later in this broadcast, we hope to have the mayor of Sweetwater with us live. He's been out canvassing the neighborhoods tonight to get a better picture of where we are right now in terms of the damage and, more importantly, the recovery. So that's coming up later on. Right now, we're live in Sweetwater. Craig Stevens, 7 News 19.
All right, Craig, and certainly help for all these people cannot get here quickly enough.
Governor Jeb Bush has been touring some of the flooded communities and promising relief. Senior reporter Mark Leonard joins us now live once again. Mark, you were in Opelika when the governor arrived, and you also were part of the tour that took the governor throughout South Florida. What did he have to say?
Well, what he had to say was that there is a lot of water damage here, but thankfully very little wind damage. He spent about 3 hours in South Florida. After arriving here at Opelika Airport, he took a ground tour, returned here, got into a helicopter, and got a bird's-eye first-hand view of the water damage. Governor Bush took a half-hour chopper trip over southwest Miami-Dade. Alongside him, State Insurance Commissioner Bill Nelson. The governor's impressions, lots of flooding, but no real wind damage. The flooding, he says, seemed to vary considerably from one neighborhood to the next.
I'll tell you, it's interesting. The flooding damage is isolated in particular communities and in the undeveloped parts of the agricultural areas. But you could fly over one area that had no flood problems at all next and compared to another one where the water was getting close to entering the garages of these neighborhoods, and makes one wonder about the drainage designs of some of the neighborhoods.
The governor also spent some time on the road riding in a National Guard Humvee through flooded areas like this one in Opelika. One of the governor's stops was here in Hollywood, where he talked to people living on a street where the water is about a foot deep.
Just trees overturned.
We're surprised at the lack of wind damage. It's really not been, it's all water.
It's nice that he surveys the damage in the hard-hit areas that really, we don't have drainage in here like most of the city does, and I know they've been trying to get it in here, so it was nice to see that he comes around.
The chopper ride and the Humvee tour come as state and local officials start totaling up the damage. Under a federal disaster declaration, Washington will pay most of the local government's expenses for emergency services and cleanup.
We'll make an assessment with the local emergency management officials across the state to come up with our proposal to FEMA in Washington to get reimbursed.
No dollar estimate as yet on the amount of damage done by Irene or the cost to the state and local government for cleanup or emergency services. Washington has declared some 28 counties in Florida, from central Florida on down to Monroe County, eligible for some federal disaster relief. At Opa-locka Airport, Mark Lundner, 7 News Night Team.
And there are plenty of people in South Florida who need that relief tonight.
Desperately, their homes are flooded out. They are homeless. The Night Team's Mike DePasquale is live in Opa-locka with more on that for us. Mike?
Well, Rick and Lori, there is some good news here at the Niles Garden apartment complex. You probably see behind me some of the electricity has been restored. The other bit of good news was earlier today when the mayor, city officials, and the Red Cross were here assuring people that they would be fed, and if needed, they would have a dry place to sleep tonight. All in all, it's been a very long day for these people who will have a very long memory of the raft of Hurricane Irene. The parking lot's a virtual river of rainwater. Ground level apartments, the spill off, making these units unlivable for now.
This is the second day. The water was about this high.
I think one thing you just got to realize is that more than just the people on the first floor, experience problems with this situation here. We had complaints from people that lived on the top 2 floors up there with water coming in from the roof, from around the windows.
The immediate concern is to help at least 300 people who must leave their homes because of structural and health concerns. But maybe just as important is to feed these people who've been without electricity for more than 24 hours.
Sandwiches, orange juice, fresh fruits. Every meal is try to be a balanced, nutritious meal.
These people, many of their personal belongings have been destroyed. The physical structure of the apartment units are destroyed. So yes, to me, this is a disaster area.
Where can you go to stay out of all this water?
Oh man, I can't go anywhere. It's just soaking wet.
Now, for that woman and about 300 of her neighbors who lived on the ground level of these apartments behind me, there is some good news about the shelter they're going to. I'm going to roll some video here, and this is what you're going to see. The buses that were supposed to take these people originally to Carroll City High School. These people actually went there. The problem was the air conditioning did not work properly, and then they had no bedding for them. No pillows, no sheets, no cotting, no bedding at all. So they all came back. Now we're told that the Red Cross will assure these people they have a place to sleep tonight as far as sheets, cotting, and bedding. The problem, Rick and Lori, is I talked to a lot of these people here tonight. They're saying, look, that's nice, but we have to bathe our children. We've been living in water knee high for about 24 hours now. So the frustration part is still there. The assurance part is that they'll at least have a place to stay tonight. In Opa-locka, Mike DePasquale, 7 News.
All right, Mike, and from uninhabitable homes to impassable streets.
There is a real big difficulty tonight in telling the difference between a street and a canal. The Night Team's Richard Lemus is live in Oakland Park, where people have been trying to navigate those waterways, and by that I mean streets. Richard?
That's right, Rick. We're on Oakland Park Boulevard and Northwest 27th Avenue. Let's go ahead and show you what police have put up over here. We've got barricades. Reason why? Follow me this way, Kirk, if you can. It's quite deceiving. From here, it looks just a couple of inches deep, but as you make your way towards the intersection of Oakland Park Boulevard and Northwest 27th Avenue, it's about 3.5 feet deep. No place for a compact car to be, and that's pretty much the way it's been throughout most of West Broward.
Fort Lauderdale, this little guy isn't catching much in this flood, except perhaps a cold. Officials warning residents to stay out of the water due to possible contamination. The flooding in this neighborhood coming up the streets onto front yards. Drivers in Oakland Park flooded with problems along the intersection of Northwest 27th Avenue and Oakland Park Boulevard. You tried, huh? You tried to brave it.
We tried.
Just didn't make it, though.
Nah, but that's all right. It was going pretty well, and I think I took it too hard. And
you knew it was over?
Yeah, that was it.
It's enough to drive any sane motorist mad.
Looking at all this water, can't believe that it really did this.
We also see folks out here with lawn chairs. They've got video cameras, kind of just watching this spectacle, huh?
Yeah.
Cheering them on?
Cheering them on, seeing who's brave enough to go through it. We've seen people brave enough to go through it, like this truck.
Are you brave enough?
Heck no, I'm keeping my truck right over here on dry land.
Not everyone is feeling these water woes. This towing service is charging $50 a pop
to haul stalled cars to dry land.
They're not heeding them barricade signs right there, and they're coming in here and getting stuck.
Even more west in Broward, yep, more flooding. Residents in Sunrise are hoping the sun will dry up what has become quite the nuisance. How nasty was it last night?
It was real nasty. It was a lot of rain and a lot of wind.
And a lot of flooding in your neighborhood also, right?
A lot of flooding. It doesn't look like it's gone down at all.
And that towing service says in about 8 hours they picked up well over 200 cars. They say they're going to be out here tomorrow morning as well. By the way, officials say this water could very well be here for the next couple of days. That's going to do it. Live in Oakland Park, I'm Richard Lemus, 7 News Night Team.
Hurricane Irene turning deadly for 7 people during the storm's aftermath, 5 of them electrocuted by the combination of standing water and downed power lines. The Night Team's Sharon Reed with the very latest on this tragic story.
It was very, very, very sad.
The only way to describe it for 3 members of a Weston family, a mother, her twin boys, plus their neighborhood friend. Death, police say, came almost instantly, just before 10 p.m. As the 4 walked through the neighborhood, they were unaware of a live power line submerged in the water.
I heard screaming and stuff. I didn't know really what to do, so I went back home. And all of a sudden, after I came back to my house and checked it out, and I saw cops and everything here.
Police say the 3 boys stepped into the water first. Then, when the twins' mother saw them collapse, she rushed in to save them and was also electrocuted. The morning after, outside the home where victim Mary Ruta lived with her boys, police units lined the streets, and the family of their neighborhood friend Douglas Hemphill released this photo. All of this as stunned neighbors walked about consoling each other.
Right here in my own neighborhood. Hits you close to home, you know.
Carl Hickey remembers seeing the Ruta twins often.
I've seen them in the neighborhood when I drive by.
Playing what?
Yeah, just walking and playing.
Unbelievably, another community is going through similar emotions. Another family grieving in Cooper City. Minutes after the Weston tragedy, police say a teenage boy there was electrocuted as well, walking along a flooded street where a downed power line lay. Broward County Sheriff Ken Jenney calls both incidents an extremely painful lesson for all of us.
We've got to learn out of here is that no matter how tempting it is to allow our children to go out into the streets in these flooded areas, these power lines are a danger. And I'm just cautioning people while this flooding period is going on to stay in their homes.
You hear it on the radio and the television, but you don't think that it's really talking to you, but it is talking to all of us.
In Weston, Sharon Reed, 7 News.
Well, you know, it's not only down power lines that you need to be looking out for tonight. There's also some hidden hazards that are proving deadly for some of South Florida's drivers. 7's Holly Herbert is following this story for us. She's joining us from the news desk with more. Holly?
Well, Rick, as you mentioned before, if you were out and about or watching the pictures we brought you of flooded streets, you can see how hard it is to tell where the road ends and a canal begins. A South Florida driver near LaSalle Boulevard in Utopia was trying to start his car when he was washed into a canal. He died before rescue crews could pull him out. And police pulling a body out of a canal this morning along the 123rd block of Northwest 35th Street in Coral Springs. The canal overflooded, leveling out with the street. In North Bay Village, a houseboat bowing down to the presence of Irene, the entire first level almost underwater. Amazingly, the boat's owner kept sleeping while this was happening. Police waking him up just in time. The storm sinking several other boats docked out in the bay. 7 Skyforce flying over Kendall. Hurricane Irene dumping so much water. A homeowner's backyard looks more like a lake. Strong winds also taking down the gazebo and tossing lawn furniture all over the place. In Fort Lauderdale, a bulldozer trapped by a toppled tree, and take a look at what it brought down, a power line. The whole thing making for a very dangerous situation. And these are just some of the sights we caught on videotape today. Later in the show, we'll show you an 8-foot alligator lurking in a South Florida neighborhood. For now, I'm Holly Herbert, 7 News.
And it probably won't be the first or last that they see out there.
A lot of surprises in all this. And Hurricane Irene certainly packing quite a punch.
And, you know, as we saw in Holly's story at the very beginning, the very first story she showed, it's very difficult to tell the difference right now in South Florida between a street and a canal. They look very much the same, and 2 people have driven their cars into canals thinking that they were on a street.